different. And it gives me great pleasure to do this one more time, as we always do, is dish it up with Dr. Stroman. Let's go.
From the basketball court at the University of Virginia to the classroom at UNC Chapel Hill, Dr. Deborah Stroman has it all covered. Now this professor and sports business entrepreneur is about to take you to school. It's time for Dishing It Up with Dr. Stroman and the Sports Shop on Buzz Sports Radio.
D. Stroman. What's up, Dr. Stroman?
Good morning, good people.
How we doing today, Dr. Stroman?
Good morning, Dr.
I'm
Stroman.
doing great. I'm excited to talk to Coach Merritt.
Talking
to talk to Coach Merritt. Okay.
Now, Coach. Now, I don't know if you've heard Dr. Stroman on the show before. When she says this, boy, I'm trying to tell you, man.
Wait a minute, you trying to prepare me for something?
Yeah. Look, it's gonna take you back to them classroom days.
Okay, well let me make sure. Let me make sure I get some headphones where I can definitely hear her. And, Doc, if you don't mind, I'm gonna just make sure that I get some headphones where I can hear everything you're saying. Okay?
Yeah, because you don't want to miss this.
Wow.
No exams, no quizzes today.
He can hear it.
But
yeah.
yes, it is good. It's good to talk to you, and congratulations for a wonderful, wonderful season. So it is Black History Month, and I thought I would just connect with all of the noise that happens every football season, professional football, with free agency. There is no doubt it is very difficult to make the NFL. In fact, looking at the latest stats from the NCAA, the probability of competing beyond high school. For football, there are approximately 74,000 football players in the NCAA. And then the number that are eligible for the draft is about 16,000. And then there are 254 draft picks. The percent, as in the chance of going from the NCAA to being a professional football player, is about 1.6%. That is very, very difficult, as we all know.
Yeah.
And so just because you're a top quarterback in college or first round in the draft, there's no guarantee. So when I hear, in fact, last night on the tape, Justin Fields being frustrated with all this talk about whether or not he's going to be traded. We talk about our very own Bryce Young, the quarterback for the Panthers. There's just a lot of noise about free agency. And so I thought it would be helpful for us to go back in time. And first off is ask you all, do you all know who was the first free agent for professional football?
Wow.
Jim Brown?
No.
No, it goes in 93. So I don't.
That's a good question.
Give it to us.
Yeah.
All right, let's go there then. His name is Raleigh Klyman Owens. He was born in 1934.
See, I told you.
He played for the College of Idaho on a football and basketball scholarship. He was the first NFL receiver to wear gloves.
Oh,
basically
really?
From the cold days when he played in Idaho. And he was so good. When we think about basketball and we say alley-oop,
Yeah.
RC was the originator of alley-oop.
Okay.
The man could jump so high that they would throw the ball up, right? That's what an alley-oop is, throw it up for grabs. And he would out-jump his defenders and score.
Okay.
And in fact, he actually jumped so high that he actually touched the goalpost. He was just an amazing jumper. But anyway, he was sick and tired of playing for the 49ers, and so he ended up playing for the Colts. But because of this, and I'm sure, Coach knows this, but for our listening audience, way back when, most players, the only leverage that they have with their teams was to refuse to play unless their conditions were met.
That's right.
And when they wanted to get a new contract, you basically had to stay with that team for another season and request to be released or traded. They weren't allowed to switch teams unless they were given an unconditional release. After R.C. Owens switched teams, and this was back in 1962, NFL commissioner at the time, Pete Rozelle, he implemented the Rozelle rule, which allowed him to compensate any team that lost a free agent with money or draft picks taken from the other franchise. So there's some history. There's R.C. Owens, nicknamed the Alley Oop, and he was the first one to start free agency in football.
Nice.
So with that being said, Coach, I just wanted to ask your thoughts about free agency, not from the player's perspective, but from the coach's perspective. How do you all process this? Do you try to talk to your best guys? Do you basically lay low? Does it depend on relationships?
Yeah, that's a good question. I have, I've had the opportunity to actually have a couple of guys come through free agency, come to me, and guys that have left me that have gone on to collect amounts of money that I could never pay them, or we could never pay them as a squad. But I would just say this: as coaches, one of the things we have to do is we're on the side of ownership. And there's a separation that comes with being a former player myself and now being an NFL coach. And I had an issue with that for years because I was in my meeting rooms and giving the players everything that I heard on the other side of the wall. Well, I didn't get reprimanded by another coach. What happened with me was I had to start looking at it and saying to myself, okay, wait a minute. If this player is going to go out and collect money as a free agent, who am I to sit up here and try to talk him out of doing that and providing for his family? Because I was doing that at first. I was trying to get the guys to stay here, trying to, basically gas it up, talking about what these other teams don't want and what they're not going to do for that player. So fast forward to what you're saying. So right now what I do, I stay out of it. Because if I get involved with free agency and agents and start talking to players about what they should or shouldn't do, now I'm going against my own organization and I'm going against the owners that I'm actually employed by. The players are not employing me. It's the fans and my ownership that's employing me. So my wife gets upset because she thinks I can control or help players out and help them stay instead of chasing the money. And she'll even tell you today she gets so upset when players leave and go and get these big paydays. In a couple of years, maybe they're out of the league. Maybe they're going on to great success. I don't know. But the stats will show that if you turn around and you turn down, if I offer Reese $5 million more than what Pam is going to pay him, Reese is probably going to go and take the money no matter what your relationship is.
Yeah, right.
So, therefore, I stay out of it. And I would say probably a good 90% of the coaches, they stay out of the free agency talk with their players.
Interesting.
Thank you for that. That's really, really insightful.
Yes, ma'am.
And one of the most important things I heard you say was that you understand the relationship, your position. You're there as a part of the franchise, the ownership.
That's right.
That's who you represent.
That's right.
And I think for a lot of young coaches, they get confused with that, trying to be people's friends and understanding that you have a job to do and you're being paid to do that job.
That's right.
So switching to technical. So linebackers coach the defensive back, and I've spoken to a former defensive coordinator, without naming names, who was teaching me about how they coach defensive backs today. When I grew up, we watched defensive backs, backpedal, and then they turn around and try to become the offensive player and go for the ball just as much as the wide receiver or tight end or whomever. But I was told that the way to coach defensive backs today is to sprint as fast as you can and basically wait for the ball to come to the receiver and slap the ball out of his hand, as in don't turn your head. So I'm wondering, here we are, 2024. Is it a preference, or what are you guys coaching today in terms of how defensive backs should play these so fast receivers?
So I will go back to your original statement and what you said before, whoever this coordinator and what he said, because not naming any names, just like you said, this coordinator and what he said is incorrect in how I teach. How I teach is what you said originally. I teach, and you can go to the Super Bowl and you watch Trent McDuffie on a play to Deebo Samuel, He's running with the receiver.
Mm-hmm.
The receiver turns back and starts looking for the ball. I teach you start turning back and looking for the ball. Chris Carter was the best that I've been around, whereas Chris Carter can run, and all of a sudden he never threw his hands up early. He would always be late with his hands, and he just knew the ball was getting ready to drop wherever it was going to drop, whatever angle. But to teach a defensive back to run as fast as they can and sprint up and then slap at the hands, that is an afterthought for Dave Merritt. I am always teaching full body contact and getting into the receivers and then get your head around, because if you're looking for the ball and he's looking for the ball, you have every right to the ball, and therefore the flags and the penalties go down. But if you're not looking for the ball and you're just running and you're just watching the receiver and waiting to slap his hands, you're going to run into him every time if it's an underthrown ball. So I teach.
And that's why you got 5 rings.
Exactly.
No, that's great.
Yeah.
So just a couple of personal questions. So
Yes, ma'am.
I've played enough basketball in my life
Okay.
to get a little nervous when a football player walks on the court. So football players is real athletes. What sports do you play well, and were you a football player that really knew how to play basketball, or were you out there knocking everybody around, setting picks and hurting people?
What's wrong with that? What's wrong with that, Dr. Stroman?
Doc, you get
That's a
five
great
fouls.
question.
You get 5 fouls.
You get five
right?
fouls.
You get 5 fouls. Let's
Talk
go.
to him, Dave. Talk to him.
So, Doc, you just actually brought up something that if some of my friends that are listening to this show that played high school basketball with me, they are upset with you right now, because I'm going to answer this question the way Dave Merritt needs to answer it. Now, let's go back. You asked me, was I a football player that played basketball? I was a basketball player that played football.
Wow.
So my sophomore year, and for Conley Perry, Craig Keith, Bucky Brooks, whoever's listening to this, Bob Marsh, doesn't matter. For my friends that are listening to me, I actually didn't want to play football because I grew up in the era of Michael Jordan. So I'm a North Carolina guy. I'm a 70s baby, 1971. I know I'm a young kid, but when I came through the late 70s, early 80s, Michael Jordan was the guy here in North Carolina that I heard about. So I wanted to play basketball. So fast forwarding, made the basketball team my freshman year, played my sophomore year, ended up leading my team in scoring my sophomore year, played my junior year. All of a sudden, football started taking over a little bit. I got a little stronger, and I still did pretty well on the basketball court. And then my senior year, I decided that, you know what, let me try to just concentrate on football and just knock guys around. But I was a basketball player who transitioned to become a football player.
Wow, interesting.
Outstanding.
Well, there it is.
Yeah.
It can be done. It can be done. And then lastly, you have a daughter named Kiki. How come
Yes.
she didn't get a first letter name with the letter D?
Oh, my
It's like,
goodness.
did you just diss her? What happened?
So that's a beautiful question, because my daughter, Nikichi Oshikaya Rouse, is a daughter from my high school sweetheart at the time, all right? And so, therefore, when I married my wife, she would tell you right now, she has raised Kiki in the sense of whenever Kiki has come around. And when Yolanda and I first started dating in college back in 1992, I told her I have a 2-year-old daughter right away. I didn't want any secrets. So she has been in her life since she was 2. So when I introduce my kids and I say, yeah, I have 5 kids, and if Yolanda's there beside me, Pam, she'll say, no, wait a minute. He has 5. I have 4. so my daughter Kiki is from a high school sweetheart. That's why.
Wow.
Well, wonderful. Well, thank you so much. I appreciate you. So glad you're a part of the sports shop, and it's my honor to be able to speak with you.
Thank you, Doc. Thank you.
As always, Dr. Stroman.
She had never been nice like that to us, man.
That's exactly what I was just about to say.
Okay.
That's not true, Dr. Stroman.
No, Pam.
Like, I don't know what you're talking about. But Dr. Stroman, you know what? It was a pleasure for you to come out yesterday. Thank you for your
Yes,
support.
thank you so much.
As always, it is. I mean, it just warms our heart to be able to see you come out and support. And you truly love what we do, and we love what you do for us. So thank you so much.
Absolutely.
You the best. Appreciate you.
Well, thank you. It's just a wonderful show, and to bring amazing coaches like Coach Merritt to the show, and so many other champions in life.
Yeah.
I'm just glad to be a part of it. But everybody have a great day. This is a great weekend for basketball, in particular ACC basketball. A lot of jockeying for these top 4 spots.
Yes.
See what happens.
It's going down to Charlottesville. I just want you to know. It's going down.
It is. And just
Check your
reminding
loyalties.
folks, please, UNC and NC State women's basketball tonight at 8 o'clock.
Yeah.
Tune in or come over to the arena. It's going to be a barn burner.
All right.
All right, Doc.
All right, Dr. Stroman, we'll talk to you.
Doc.
Have a great day.
All right.
Thanks, Doc.
A-Town, what you got for me, my friend?
Virgin Cigars of Raleigh has the top cigars from around the world for you to smell, hold, and taste before taking them home. Receive a free gift with your first purchase. Stop in across from CarMax on Glenwood Avenue and online at virgincigarsnc.com, and be sure to ask about their private lounge. When you smoke, smoke the best with cigars from Virgin Cigars.
Man, we are honored and we are so pleased to have Coach Dave Merritt from the Kansas City Chiefs joining us. Super Bowl winning coach Dave Merritt, by the way. Dave Merritt joining us here on the shop. We got so much to talk about when we come back next. Let's go.
You're listening